You are tuned to Iri-e-learning, and I am your host, Teacher. In this mixtures and separation lesson, we will be looking at the separation technique filtration. Check the description box for links to all the videos related to this unit. By the end of this lesson, we should be able to determine the properties of the components of mixtures that are separated by filtration and explain the process of filtration. Separation techniques. There are many different types of separation techniques. Example, filtration, paper chromatography, separating funnel, simple distillation, fractional distillation. In this lesson, we will investigate the filtration technique of separation. We will study the other methods in the videos that follow. So remember to check the description box below for links to all the lessons for this unit on mixtures and separation. Note that the components of mixtures are separated based on their physical properties, which include particle size, crystalline structure, boiling point, solubility, magnetism, sublimation. Also note, these are not the only properties, but are some of the properties we'll be looking at for the next few lessons as we explore different separation techniques. Now it's time to talk about filtration. What is filtration? Filtration occurs when an insoluble solid separates from a liquid by passing the mixture through a porous medium. The porous medium can be a sieve, sometimes referred to as a strainer, or a special kind of paper called filter paper, such as the coffee filter paper. Types of mixtures separated by filtration. You may have figured this out already, that suspensions are the only type of mixtures in which the components can be separated by filtration. This is so because suspensions are mixtures that consist of an insoluble solid component and a liquid component. Component properties that facilitate filtration. There are two properties of the components of a suspension that will facilitate filtration. The first is that the insoluble solid particles of the mixture should be larger than the holes in the porous medium to retain the solid particles. In other words, the insoluble solid particles of the suspension will not be able to pass through the porous medium. Secondly, the particles of the liquid component must be smaller than the pores of the porous medium, allowing the liquid to pass through. Now we'll take a look at the filtration apparatus. The laboratory filtration apparatus is straightforward and it consists of three main things. First, we have the filter funnel, which has two main functions. One, it holds the porous medium, and two, for channeling the liquid that passes through into the collection flask below. Secondly, we have the filter paper, and the filter paper is the porous medium, and although not visible to the unaided eye, the filter paper consists of very tiny pores. And thirdly, we have a collection flask, such as the conical flask or the Erlenmeyer flask as we have here. It can also be any other container, such as a beaker or a cup. Filtration technique. We will demonstrate the filtration method, but first let us examine the apparatus used for the process. Here we have a retort stand with a ring frame attached used for holding the filter funnel. Below the filter funnel is a collection container. We are using a disposable plastic cup. Next, we have the filter paper, the circular sheet of paper that functions as the porous medium. It contains very tiny holes or pores that are not visible to the unaided eye. Here we have a suspension of sand and water. Notice that the larger dirt particles have already settled to the bottom. Also, some tiny dirt particles remain suspended in the water, giving it a dirty or murky look. We also have a spray bottle with distilled water. We will state the purpose of the distilled water while demonstrating the filtration technique. Now it's time to fold the filter paper to put it in the filter funnel. First, we fold the circular filter paper in 1/2, forming a half circle or a semicircle. Next, we fold it in 1/4, forming a quarter circle. Then we'll count 3 flaps, 1, 2, 3, and open the filter paper into a cone. The cone-shaped filter paper is placed in the filter funnel and moistened with water. This allows the filter paper to stick to the sides of the filter funnel. Now it's time to pour the suspension through the filter paper, but I will stir it before doing so. Notice how dirty the water looks. The suspension is carefully poured into the filter paper. Notice that the water passing through the filter paper contains no dirt particles. It appears colorless and transparent or clear compared to the dirty water mixture inside the filter paper in the funnel. The liquid level in the filter paper gradually decreases with time. Eventually, all the water has been filtered out and the dirt particles are trapped in the filter paper. The solid or sand particles collected in the filter paper is called the residue, while the liquid that passes through the filter paper is called the filtrate. Unlike the filtrate, the residue does not pass through the filter paper because the solid particles are too large to get through the tiny pores or holes of the filter paper. Let us review the main observation points from the demonstration of the filtration technique. We started with a suspension mixture of sand and water. We observed that the heavier sand particles settled out quickly and the water had a dirty or murky appearance. After the suspension was poured over the filter paper, the sand was collected in the filter paper and the water passed through as a colorless transparent liquid. For the analysis and interpretation, we need to answer two discussion questions. First question, what type of mixture is separated by filtration? And as we know, a suspension, which is a mixture consisting of a liquid and an insoluble solid, is separated by filtration. And the second question, explain why filtration was a suitable technique for separating the components of the mixture. We know that the porous medium, which is the filter paper, would have tiny pores or holes that are small enough to prevent the insoluble solid particles from passing through, but large enough for the liquid particles to pass through. The lesson summary points include: filtration involves the separation of an insoluble solid from a liquid by passing the mixture through a porous medium. Examples of porous medium includes a sieve, which is also known as a strainer, or filter paper, cheesecloth. The process of filtration separates the components of a suspension, and the components are usually an insoluble solid from a liquid. A suspension consists of insoluble particles suspended in a liquid. The heavier particles of a suspension always settle out first. The residue is the insoluble particles collected in the filter paper during the filtration of a suspension. The filtrate is the liquid that passes through the filter paper during filtration of a suspension. So it's quiz time, and you have 5 seconds to answer each question after it is read aloud. Question 1. Which physical property cannot be used to determine the separation method for the components of a mixture? A. Particle size. B. Solubility. C. Magnetism. D. Crystalline color. The answer there is D. Crystalline color. Question 2. What is filtration? A. Filtration is the process by which soluble particles separate from a liquid after passing the mixture through a porous medium. B. Filtration is the process by which insoluble solid particles separate from a liquid after passing the mixture through a porous medium. C. Filtration is the process by which soluble particles are decanted from a solution. D. Filtration is the process by which solvent molecules move up a stationary phase, carrying with it insoluble solid particles at different rates. And the answer there is B. Filtration is a process by which insoluble solid particles separate from a liquid after passing the mixture through a porous medium. Question 3. Complete the following sentence. The solid collected during the process of filtration is called A. Residue, B. Filtrate, C. Filter paper, D. Refuse. And the answer there is A. Residue. Question 4. Which statement best describes a porous medium used in filtration? A. A porous medium contains pores that allow the insoluble solid particles to pass through but not the liquid. B. A porous medium contains pores that prevent the insoluble solid particles and the liquid from passing through. C. A porous medium contains pores that allow the liquid to pass through but not the insoluble solid particles. D. A porous medium contains large pores that allow the insoluble solid particles and the liquid to pass through. And the answer there is C. A porous medium contains pores that allow the liquid to pass through, but not the insoluble solid particles. Question 5. Jean washed some kidney beans in water and passed the mixture through a strainer over a bowl. What is the location of the components of this mixture? A. The kidney beans and the water are both in the bowl. B. The kidney beans and the water are both in the strainer. C. The kidney beans are in the bowl while the water is in the strainer. D. The kidney beans are in the strainer while the water is in the bowl. The answer there is D, where the kidney beans would be trapped in the strainer while the water passes through the strainer into the bowl. We have reached the end of our lesson. If you found this video helpful, remember to like, share, and subscribe. When you subscribe, you will receive notifications as new videos are uploaded. So until next time, I am Teacher with Iri-e-learning.